there's 3 now.
Okay, but I think one of them's working now. I think it's because it takes a while to like close out a stream that doesn't work for some reason. But it's actually looking like it's streaming. I have no idea if it actually is. I see an Erica in chat. Okay. Have I mentioned I hate technical difficulty? Alright. It's working. That's the important thing. But yeah, for anybody who isn't aware, hold on, I'm gonna ooh, apparently I'm going to keep coughing. There we go. For anyone who isn't aware, the reason we are trying YouTube instead of Twitch is because though Twitch I knew how to use already, but downloading and then uploading the VODs to YouTube takes a long while because they are like 3 hours or longer sometimes, and Twitch also only saves them for like 7 days. My internet is trash, so downloading them and then uploading them has become very much an issue, a pain, based on my life stuff as well. And so streaming directly to YouTube and then having the video already there, already saved, seems like it would be much easier. So that's what we're going with. And they should be up quicker now instead of October, November, and December's are still all missing, I think. Sorry. So, now that it's working, I'm going to switch screens and make sure that that shows. Once it shows up, let me know. And then we can get started. And as per usual, questions asked in the chat of the stream will not be answered if they are like meeting related type of questions. They must still be posted in our meeting questions channel when that is open. I will, however, answer if it is a stream related question or technical difficulty. Yeah, there seems to be quite a big delay, but I'm also not going to be doing anything that you guys need to watch the stream for. So if you're watching the stream while sitting in the meeting, there's going to be a delay. Erica noticed like probably something like a 20-second, 30-second delay, honestly. I think that's because of my internet. I almost thought about just superimposing my like profile pic over the camera today because I do not like my face today, but yeah, the video, the stream is for if you are unable to make it to the actual voice channel, because we know some people still like to tune in and listen, hear things at work or other various things where they can watch a video but can't necessarily be in a voice chat. And also for the VOD for later viewing for those who are just straight up unavailable as well. Yeah. I forgot to do my announcement about it, but I think the event announces it itself. I don't know. Good enough.
I'll link the video.
Yeah, since there's 3 of them for some reason.
One of them is actually live.
Okay, cool. So, let's actually get started now. Thank you all for putting up with our technical difficulties. Welcome to the Vox community meeting for January. It's good to see you all. I know it's been a little while because we skipped December's due to the holiday that just conveniently fell in the way of community meetings. We have a few announcements / updates, as well as a few points of discussion before we begin with, and then we will go to our pre-submitted questions, of which there were 25. Some of them asked the same questions, so they've been combined generally. So if you don't hear your specific wording of a question, it does not mean we're not going to answer your question. It just means there were multiple people that asked the same question or the same subject. We will also not be reading out the entirety of some people's questions, as some of them are quite long. We have boiled them down to the basic point of the question. And for the future, we would also like to just kind of give a general reminder that the questionnaire for meeting questions is not the place to ask us how we are doing. While that is very kind, and we love that you guys care about staff and our well-being and all of that, that is something that you could just generally ask us at the meeting, at the end, in chat. The questions form is more to give us time to formulate answers to perhaps slightly more complicated questions or things like that, though we do very much appreciate the sentiment. Asking very basic or simple questions that you could ask in chat is also probably not the best place. The meeting questions form is not necessarily the best place to do that. I'm talking general knowledge type of questions, not update type of questions. That's a completely different thing. But some very basic general knowledge questions have been asked in the meeting questions form before, and it does, the more questions we have, the longer the meeting takes. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing if you guys have a lot of questions, but us sitting here answering questions that are like in our rules page or things like that is not necessarily the best use of everyone's time either. And also, things that are just suggestions should be taken directly to the Reddit. We will read your suggestions. I have personally read every suggestion that's been on there from going back about 2 years, because I got bored after that point and some of them, by that point, we were getting to things that were no longer relevant because the plugins don't even exist anymore. But I have personally read every single suggestion that's been put on the Reddit. I haven't answered all of them. But generally, if it's put on there and we like it, we will use it if we can in the future. But straight up suggestions should be taken to the Reddit and not the meeting questions channel. And it would be much appreciated for some people who are a bit wordier if you could maybe concise your questions down more in the future. I am not naming any names, but you probably know who you are. I love and appreciate detailed questions, but it would just be a lot easier if you would get politely, if you could get to the point of the question that you're asking, instead of giving us a lot of extraneous details that may or may not be needed for explanation. We can always ask someone to clarify more, and especially if you submit a question ahead of time, we can always ask you if we want more details before giving you an answer in the meeting, because we see your guys' usernames. So, but just more concise would be better. Thank you. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. Our first really true general reminder is we'd just like to give a general reminder that all the staff of Vox work hard at every single level, whether management, development, disciplinary, etc. From Amy to Ayame, we all work very hard. We appreciate people's patience and willingness to work with us to make our community a fun and friendly place to be. All people on Vox deserve to be treated with respect, whether a player or a staff member. Again, this is not a specific call out on anyone, so don't feel like you're the reason for this. This is a good general reminder that we like to give. Disciplinary staff also tries our utmost best to keep staff and the server in general safe and a happy place to be, and this includes our MITs. Being in training does not mean they do not have the authority to act when needed, and they also deserve the respect that you give to any other member of the team when they are doing their job. For every level of staff, they deserve the respect that comes with being staff. We are all volunteers, first and foremost, and we want chat to just remain a happy and safe place for everyone involved. And hopefully you guys also think that we treat you with respect. And if you ever feel like you are not being treated with respect, whether you are a player or a staff member or any on any level, if you feel like you're not being treated with respect, please remember that you can come to us, you can discuss it with us. I especially would love it if you guys come to me. If you have an issue, come to any of the admins. If you have an issue, please don't hesitate to bring it up. Okay. That's covered. Love all of you. A little bit, this is less of a reminder and more of a general update on kind of a potentially... Okay, let me start that sentence over. The next item is just sort of a bit of an update, kind of an announcement, but unfortunately we don't have a ton of detail to it, so please do not freak out. Just we're keeping you informed as we've promised to do. So several people asked some things recently about events and how events going forward may work. We are currently still working on those, but events going forward for Vox are likely to change in how they're made and how they're run, purely due to even just plugins no longer functioning and things like that. We don't have all full details on any kinds of changes that we're making. It's things we're exploring at the moment. But what we are ideally looking to do for events is to make events longer and better integrated with newer features to come, as well as plugins we do already have. We also aim to spread them out a little bit better to give development team more time to work on them and making a good event for people to enjoy. They may or may not still coincide with real holidays, but the goal is to give an overall better experience for everyone to enjoy. Our old systems, as has been mentioned many times before, the old plugins from pre-Netherite are horribly broken or completely non-functional. So making events be an exact carbon copy of what they were isn't even possible at this moment without a ton of extra work. And that's not to say we're against hard work, but I'm saying that we're talking, I think at this point, if we started, we might be able to get Halloween running. If that gives you an idea of the kind of work we're talking, to make things that don't function in systems that weren't intended to do it and trying to make it work identically as it was before is basically going to mean we have to experiment with a ton of different plugins, try to get things to do things that they weren't even designed to do. It's a lot. So we also want to look at this as an opportunity to update events and make them much more fun, less stale for the older players as well, because a lot of us have been around for a while. So we know that a lot of the older players you've gone through the event, you know how to do it. A lot of the prizes haven't changed in a long time, so you have a lot of things. Xmas and Halloween and even Harvest have been the same for a long time. While we love the nostalgia too, they could definitely use a spruce, and since we kind of have the option of either we can do new ways of making events work, or we can fight with plugins to make them work the exact same way they did before, the new way seems like it may be an easier path to not only making them fun, but less stale, like I said. We are still aiming towards Zombie's overall vision of what the future of Vox looks like, what he wanted it to eventually get to. And we're excited to share more details when we have them as they become available as we work through this. Testing new plugins and how they make things work can be time consuming, and sometimes a plugin we think will work for a certain thing doesn't do the thing we want, or the developers may not be responsive to feedback, or there's a colossal game-breaking bug in it that nobody will fix. So sometimes that then requires finding an entirely new plugin, which means the testing of it starts all over again. So that is why sometimes things are getting delayed. This is also why I try not to give you guys specific deadlines, as things can come up that we just have no control over as well. We do have a degree of like a timeline that staff is working off of, but it's not something we want to release to you guys, as much as people have asked for like some sort of timeline. But because we can't for sure promise dates with other people, with people's life things, as well as sometimes these development like holdups that we have no control over, I don't want to. Again, it's the thing where we don't want to give you a date and then not be able to meet the expectation. We give you dates when we are sure we can meet the expectations as best as we can, barring absolute emergencies. So basically all of the rambling here is that when we are able to do events again, we are looking at more than likely a brand new experience of some degree, a hopefully more fun experience with maybe even more mechanics to work with or more prizes. We're not, as I said before, we don't have the full details on all of that, but we have some really good ideas of things to do and how to tie them into other plans that we have that we are also working on. So we want to thank you again for your patience with everything. And I also hope that this kind of helps give more of an idea of our direction at the moment. Especially, as I said, people have asked a lot about what are we doing with events, so this is kind of an update for you. Okay, if only one person is hearing me, Roboto, then it's on your end, not mine. It could there is also the chance that it is possibly mine.
It's like some people.
Well, my internet is also trash, and just before we started, my internet was lagging a lot. So I was like very upset with it. Unfortunately, I think it's just something we're gonna have to put up with. I'm doing my best, but I can't really do anything physically different. There's nothing I can shut off short of the stream.
It just adds to it.
If I am becoming incredibly roboto for a lot, just interrupt me. We'll let it pass. But I'm doing my best. My Discord seems to want to be at 500 ping, that's why. I'm giving it a second. It's just going up. It doesn't want to come back down, apparently. Y'all scared my ping. It's like, no, I don't want to talk. Okay, give me a second. Sometimes disconnecting works, sometimes it doesn't. Was worth a try.
You sound okay to me.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just think we're just gonna have to deal with it. The only person in my house right now using the internet is Jordy, and no, he's not downloading anything. So it's just my internet being terrible today. It was doing this yesterday. Jordy is not to blame. Jordy is very much not to blame. Internet's going up and down and up and down and up and down. So, alright, so I'm just going to generally ask this we gave. Again, I will stress we do not have details on events, so you can't ask me what's the next event or what's going to change. But just want to make sure that we cover those topics before we move on to the questions. Why is it when I see Sajin or... The next event is going to be the public mocking of Sajin. I will say that I know I asked this question for people either yesterday or the day before that or whatever. I was asking in chat about things you guys might like to do. Like games and contests and stuff. So those may kind of be like little mini events. We're going to try to come up with some stuff that we can all do as like a community while things like that get worked on. So no idea about Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, as it was the last like couple years, was just a vendor, but they're old items that would have like sockets and stuff on them, so I don't know if we're going to do those. I will say that we do plan to have the eStore Valentine's Day stuff up again, which was the like title and emote bundle and Cupid. We do intend to have at least have some of the eStore stuffs up.
We could do a flower.
We could do like flower or like a flower crate vendor. We could do something like that. I think flowers could be done.
Flower crates.
Flowers could be done.
Chocolate doesn't exist.
I need Lily. I need Lily of the Valley. I need Lily of the Valley flowers. My storage just has an empty hole in it.
Flowers are so pretty.
I just didn't have any. So, like, now I keep forgetting what flower is supposed to be there. But, we could do some...
I'll give you one.
We could do some cookies or something. But, yeah, like, we could... Flowers is definitely possible. Like, a little flower vendor for a week or two would be nice. I like that. No, Erica, we're not gonna sell netherite scraps! People would just use them as netherite.
Scrap for
that I could get behind.
Netherite scrap.
That I could get behind. I'd also like to do occasional vendors with like decorative heads, maybe some eStore decorative heads, but we have to fix that texture bug with the decorative heads first, so. Anyway, since other than that seems to not be questions, I'm going to move on to the questions that were pre-submitted. Someone is dying near me. Well. Okay, so we had a large number of pre-submitted questions, as I mentioned before, which is great, but that's also, in the future, we will probably close the questions like the evening before the meeting, as it does give us time to work on the questions instead of closing the forum like an hour before the meeting. Only gives me an hour to finish off all the questions. And a big round of applause for Erica and Burb for helping a lot, just in general. And Esther also helps a lot, usually. But, but yeah. So, there were a lot of questions. Several of them did ask the same topic, as I mentioned before, so we will likely just consolidate the questions together. And as in the past, when a question has been very long, we will be kind of boiling it down to the basic point. Once we only have a couple of those questions left, we'll open the meeting questions channel, so you can prepare any questions you have, but please do your best to try not to ask a question we've already answered, but if you've missed something, it's okay. I'm not going to bite your head off if you do it, I promise. We're trying to have this meeting be less than 3 hours. I don't know if that'll happen, but we're trying. And meeting voice text has just lost its crap. Well, see, here's the problem, Yaya. We're already half an hour in because I had 15 minutes of technical difficulties. Anyway, so moving on. We're going to start with the questions. So the first question that we have is it possible to add blocks that aren't in Aurelium skills, excavating or mining, so that we gain experience from them? Which I'm assuming is like blocks that just... Right, blocks that aren't included. I'm having a moment. I'm having a slow day. Blocks that aren't already in them. We can look into it. That's all we can really promise, is that we can look into it. Aurelium skills, as it is now, was mostly just the base mechanics. We've done some balancing in some areas, most recently to some of the farming aspects, as some of them were wildly out of control. But a lot of Aurelium still needs balancing, and so that is still a work in progress, and things are still set to potentially be adjusted. So if you really, really like a particular skill or things that you can do with a skill, I'm sorry if you are not happy when we do adjust things, but this is your warning. Things are more than likely up for adjustment. Just want to cover that for everyone. A lot of our plugins are probably still in need of tweaks here and there. Aurelium is one that needs kind of a lot across the board. So the next question is also technically related to Aurelium skills. So in order to get Anvil and the brewing stands to work, they had to be disconnected from the Aurelium skills system. Is it anywhere on the to-do list to get that fixed so that we can get the skills for smithing, alchemy, enchanting back? I have been saving up a lot of items in XP just to use for leveling those skills. So the answer is, while it's not very high on the list at the moment, because there are other things that we consider to be a lot higher priority, it is on the list. So it is on the to-do list, it's just not very prominent at the moment. We had... Anvils were broken. A lot of people know. Anvils specifically were just broken from, we started Netherite and they just wouldn't work. So we had to do it to fix them. Trying to figure out how to have them work while being able to use the Aurelium skills is going to take a lot more looking into and work with, more than likely. So as I said, it's not high on the list, but it is on the list if we are capable of doing it. I don't know who just told me try not to ramble so much, but I am trying. Thanks for the laugh, Jordy. If everyone heard that, that was Jordy. Aurelium just likes causing issues. So our next question is technically a larger subject, as multiple people asked, or multiple questions about the same topic were asked, with large questions, but basically the point of it is, why is lands and nation upkeep so expensive? What is the intention of it? Can it be lowered? And can lands upkeep be explained? So this one's going to take a minute. Okay, if I had Jordy host the meeting... Sorry, I'm interrupting for a second. But if I had Jordy host the meeting would be, hi, stuff is cool, bye. It'd probably be worse than having Jin host the meeting. So, lands upkeep. Lands, nation, and all that. So, just to... Right off the bat, lands is an entirely different plugin than Townie. So there's going to be there is still going to be differences between the two of them. Now, there have been a lot of questions and some misconceptions about the upkeep for lands. So let's explain it. Lands, and off of that the nations, upkeep is paid at a rate that is 1 voxel for every 1 plot you have claimed. Trusted members will also increase the amount that is paid to the server. The upkeep currently is paid daily, and lands that join a nation do not have to pay upkeep. They will only be subject to any taxes that are set by the nation leader, which can be set to 0, can be set to 1 per plot, or 5 voxels per plot, etc. Nations have an upkeep that is dependent on how many people are in all the lands trusted to the nation and all the land claimed by all lands within the nation. Nation upkeep is paid out of the nation capital's bank, and taxes set to lands in the nation are sent to that capital's bank. So this adds up. And Empire Nation has 65 plus members, and that is a lot of land and towns that's added to them. Both claim and member amount. You would have a lot in that kind of situation. Upkeep rates for lands are higher than Townie. We're not sugarcoating that. They are higher than Townie because it is a new system that works differently than Townie did. They also were higher when we first started using the plugin and dropped to what they are now. There was also a small bug that had occurred, which I do believe we made note of a few times too, but when we had done our update after the close of the old servers, there was a bug that had it go up rapidly for a lot of people. That had been fixed, but in terms of balancing upkeep rates, at this point in time, we are not going to be adjusting the rates to account for massive empires. It is not intended for 1 to 2 people to pay a whole nation's upkeep. We'd like to continue to encourage teamwork if you're going to have a large town or nation to pay for it. We can, however, look into the frequency that lands upkeep is paid. Instead of daily, perhaps we could look at 2 to 3 times a week. However, this remains a maybe, as we are bound by the limits of what the plugin can actually do. We are not going to guarantee anything at this point, but we are looking into it. We will not be adjusting the amount paid per chunk or member at this time, though, either. So I hope that answers some general questions about upkeep and that clears things up. Essentially, a land with like 1 member and like 1,000 plots is still only going to pay like 1,000 voxels an upkeep. But if you have more than that, even if you have 1,000 plots claimed and you have more members than that, members will also make it go up. So it's the amount of people and the amount of plots, not just one or the other. Which seems to be a misconception as well. And as always, if you do have questions about general how to do things with lands, there is a guide linked in both the Discord and comes up in chat frequently. It is a basic beginner guide to how to use lands, so you can always feel free to ask us if there is a more complicated question like these. But that is also a really useful resource that more people should read. That was polite.
Smile.
The smile is because I have listened to Jordy be slightly frustrated with people continually asking questions in chat that are written in the guide that Jordy wrote. But I know not everyone knows about the guide either, because not everybody pays attention to the Discord. Not everyone reads all the messages in chat. So I'm just taking an opportunity to remind everyone. There is a guide if you need help, especially getting started with a land. I do realize it is not fully comprehensive. It does not include all of the details about upkeep. It does not include a lot of stuff about nations. But it was also written before we had started a lot of balancing work that we noticed needed to be done. Sometimes we can balance something before we start and it still needs adjustments because not everything is accounted for, or people can sometimes break things, or things can just randomly break without anyone's interaction. Fishing contest is an example. It worked before we let people on Netherite. Anyway, so we hope that clears up the upkeep questions. And again, it will be everything that I wrote, everything that I read, everything that I went over is written down in the notes. So it's not just very simple. So Navy can read that later. Because I know I know everyone knew Navy asked at least one of those questions. So, yes. Burb wrote the whole long answer there. So, the next question is, can we get some Earth Day? It's April 22nd vendors. I've got a leftover stuff from years past that the hoarder and me can't just slash trash, but would be willing to part with traders. So generally, Earth Day is a smaller event. So it's more of a mini event. So technically, it could be possible to set up, but it will more than likely depend on how busy we are. In the past, it was actually done not through a vendor, but through eCraft, because you are limited to an amount. I'm not actually sure the exact amount, but in the vendors, there is a cap, there is a limit to how many things you can put in there. And we used eCraft, but that meant making an entry for every single past, at least tradable, from every event ever. And that is basically 2014 to 2021 at this point. We can count Easter, but from last year, but still, that is a lot to do. And I know that making an eCraft entry sounds like it'd be easy, but it's still a large amount of things. If you just consider the amount of things like just one Hallows Eve event has, and then multiply that by like 7, and then multiply that by all of the events that happen, it's a lot of entries. So personally, I don't know if we'd be able to do anything like that. It's a lot of work. We can look into it, but it's a maybe, and I personally see it leaning more towards a no. But if we can, I'd be happy to do it if we can. I just want to be clear. That's not to say that if we can't do it this year that there wouldn't ever be another Earth Day. It just might take us a little bit longer. I am also pausing at points to give my note takers time to catch up. I speak fast. the next question. Resource/adventure world when? You are going to hate me. Soon TM. To elaborate slightly, we do have plans for this and other content in the coming months. However, as I kind of rambled a little bit before, it's currently pending some issues. Things like that are pending issues with development and with IRL events taking place among the staff team. We do have limited hands on deck who are capable of doing certain things, so when things come up for them, it can put a little bit of a wrench in our plans, and IRL, life it feels weird to say IRL in person, but real life should always come first over what is essentially a game, in my opinion. So I want our staff team, including myself, to make sure that they take time when needed, especially for specific things. But, we do have plans. We don't have a deadline exactly to give you, but we are hoping for it to be on the sooner side of soon TM. Although I think that still doesn't give you a really great idea, because soon TM could be like 3 years in box time. But, I'm babbling now. We all know this. That's not even covering just when things crop up on the server that are more like emergent that need to be fixed too. So yeah, the staff team has had work, sickness, family stuff. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so the next question. Wait a minute. Why are there 2 bullet? Is this the same question or 2 different questions? There's 2 bullet points. I'm confused. Oh, okay. It was the same topic. Got it. Okay. Sorry. I have to look. We're all human. Okay. Anyway. No, that's totally fine. So, I'm gonna just give me 1 second.
Just make it one.
Yeah, so the essential question, boiling it down here, is basically what is the replacement, quote-unquote, for sockets, or what's the kind of new things that are planned with new combat things. Basically, what's the update on the RPG elements of the site, of the game. So, we are still working on what we're going to do with the RPG elements, such as classes, spells, races, and so on. We're testing a lot of different things to see what fits us best for what we want Vox RPG to be in the future. We don't have anything concrete, unfortunately, that we can share with you at this point in time. This also applies to basically what you could call sockets. Sockets in their form, as we have stated, are not going to return. Basically, what you understood sockets to be is gone. What sockets kind of boiled down to is they were basically like extra enchantments. So while we may be able to do things with that are similar in nature, they won't necessarily be sockets. We also cannot guarantee at this point anything similar, like customizable wise, because that was the whole point, is that they were customizable. So basically, we still don't have completely concrete details to share with you, unfortunately. The overall RPG system, which includes classes, races, spells, gear, the things that are used for boss fights, dungeons, things like that, they all kind of have to be done mostly together. And it's a big undertaking. It is in progress. Like, there's progress being made behind the scenes. It's just we don't have anything concrete that is ready to be shared with you guys at this point in time. It's basically like starting over at this point, and we understand this. It's starting over for us with how to make things function, because all of the systems that managed it were cobbled together with zombies, peppy spirit, and duct tape. By that point. But by the point, and I just want to clarify, like, we would have run into these same problems no matter when we did this. Obviously, people know that our timeline for merging everything together did accelerate, but we would be running into the same issues with the plugins because it's a matter of the plugins no longer supporting the things that we need them to do. So it's just complicated, and it's taking time. We do have ideas, we have general directions on things, but we just don't have concrete, this is almost ready, or this is what things are going to be called, or we just don't have details that are ready to be shared. When we have them ready to share, we definitely will, because we know people are very excited for it. And some of you have gotten like the sneak peeks with us summoning the like Forsaken a couple of times. And as you've noticed, the custom durability of things is also no longer functioning, which is just beautiful. We really need to stop summoning things on you guys for fun. Okay. So, kind of to go along with that happening, well, Harley, here's the thing. I forgot because I was dealing with technical issues, but when I also started it, the meeting, like, event thing said it was going to do an add everyone, and I guess it didn't.
It pings anyone that's...
Yeah, it pings, like, people who are, like, in the meeting, but yeah, it was weird. Honestly, it just...
The event, if you hit join on it, I think it pinged to those people.
Yeah, but honestly, to me, that's
like
not...
RSVP.
I wish it, like, ping... I wish it, like, ping... I thought it was... Because I just read that it said, like, an at everyone, I thought it was going to ping, like, the chat. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so to go along with that, we also had a question about, are there any upcoming plans for non-socket/RPG related features? So yes, we do have plans for them. We don't, I know you guys hate this answer. I hate giving this answer. We don't have details yet to share with you, but when we do, we will absolutely tell you. We have been working on voting, which some people did get a sneak peek with it not functioning and accidentally getting uploaded to the with a restart. But we've also been working on bringing back voting and daily bonus, which hopefully have them ready in a few weeks, but I'm not going to make an absolute promise. But that's something to look forward to, because I know a lot of people were looking forward to them. There is no timeline on it, but I have mentioned multiple times that at some point in the future we will definitely be doing like a rework of like export, which will probably include a rework of the import guys at the same time for everyone who keeps asking me when we can have quartz crates in there. I'm not promising quartz, I'm just saying we'll probably include import in an export update. Just saying. I, for one, will be excited when we get to that, but that's not necessarily a huge priority at the moment. But you can bet your butt that I will be asking other expert farmers for some opinions and some ideas as well. myself and T have literally been sharing ideas back and forth about how to rework export for years. Literal years. Like, I'm pretty sure I could scroll back in our DMs and find things from, like, 2018. So. But yeah, that's just another thing that I can think of off the top of my head for something that's I've also mentioned before, but also hopefully in general bug fixes, because there's been a lot of bugs that have come up. But yeah, so please remember to also keep an eye out on the news channels, especially in Discord, for updates on certain things. Like if you have a pair of the Santa boots from the December Voxbox, the ones that crash people, you need to ticket for a replacement. We have a replacement that does not crash people. And honestly, if you try to use them deliberately to crash people, we're just going to take them away and you won't get a replacement. I'm just throwing that gauntlet down right now, because I would consider that exploiting a bug. No, we cannot keep one to crash trolls. That's what the banhammer is for. But I just wanted to take a second to mention that in case someone hadn't noticed it in news, because it is a problem. And I will also apologize that the item I created crashed people. The original ones were made and they were tested around plenty of other people just fine, but for some reason they crash people on live. No idea why. The bug did not come up in testing, unfortunately, so there was no way to know until basically we knew about it. They have been fixed, but you need to ticket for a replacement for them. But yeah. Anyway, that was kind of an aberration. While my brain was trying to think of non-socket related things, but yeah, features wise, other than like bug fixes and things like that, we look forward to more toys and things like that. I am also working on some, hopefully, different types of like packages we can offer both on eStore and maybe in game for decorations and things like that, different ideas for that. If you guys have ideas for even small features you might like to see that are not related to RPG systems, aka classes, spells, etc., please go to the Reddit, let us know things that you might be interested in seeing. Like when people suggested voting and daily bonus, we kind of like jumped right on that, like, okay, cool, we can do those are fun. More quality of life features. Now that we have the crates fixed, we could possibly, I have a list of like 20 things we might be adding later, so yeah. So anyway, next question. Will Quick Shops, or an equivalent if that plugin isn't up to date, be coming back to Vox? So the answer to that is we do have some plans that are somewhat similar to what Quick Shops used to be on the old servers. But as it's not fully finalized and set in stone yet, we're not going to give a lot of detail on that yet. But we do have plans to hopefully do something similar. So the answer boils down to yes, we want to bring back more player-based economy and trading features for people to be able to sell their items and interact with each other. Beyond market. Yeah. And before anybody asks about it, I Market Mail was from an older plugin. Don't know if we can recreate it, but we will look into it because I know someone was going to ask. I could feel it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we wanted something similar, it would possibly be like an actual developer project. Not sure if there's any plugins that can do something similar yet, but Jin already has enough projects, Curly. Stop piling it on. Okay. Yeah, Jin's list is... Jin has an ever-growing list that he himself even keeps adding to, so let's not pile more work on Jin. Jin has been invaluable, and we love and appreciate Jin. We should... Actually, there we go. Next event is Jin Appreciation Day. I didn't say we would do anything for the event. It's just Jin Appreciation Day. Okay, Jin Mockery Day. Got it. Or you could just wait till September and do Talk Like a Pirate Day. Okay, anyway, enough fun at Jin's expense. Moving on. The next question. Can we get our job's hourly voxel income limit changed to 15 minutes so when you reach the limit you start getting paid again 15 minutes later? No one wants to work and not get paid. I spend hours upon hours working to build up small amounts of funds that are taken away daily due to nation upkeep. There is no chance to build wealth on Vox anymore. So we can look into it, is what I can say. Like, happily can look into if we can adjust the income limit, like time duration, but we're not sure at this point in time if it is actually possible with the plugin. The jobs limit goes up with higher level across all the jobs you're part of, so like that the actual income limit that you can make does go up. I know that it's not necessarily as high as some people might like, but it's a balancing act. As well, we can't pick and choose which jobs have what limit. It has to be like across the board. And some jobs are in fact harder to reach the limit with than others. I feel like hunting might be one of those, but I'm not sure of all of the jobs and how hard they are. I know that I have an easier time leveling.
You can't reach the limit with fishing.
Well, fishing's also kind of slow, but like I know I have a harder time reaching the limit with alchemy, with brewing, as opposed to farming. Farming's like real easy. But we also need to make sure that it's balanced and not too out of hand for the ones that are very easy to hit the limit, because then you're just like mass producing money. I know it's not a lot of money with jobs, but it is money, but we can definitely look into adjusting certain things, because I believe the jobs income and all of that was actually set more with the idea of dealing with townie in mind, and as we have acknowledged, lands is more expensive, so there is the possibility of us being able to adjust that there as well. So we can definitely look into it. I'm not going to promise anything. We can look into it, because that definitely makes sense. Steampunk Day I could get behind. But I don't have anything... we need more steampunk stuff on the server. We only have like one box that came out in 2020? 2021? We need more steampunk wearables in like wardrobe. Jin, could you work on that?
Jin was hired to create the steampunk monster.
Yeah.
The reason he was hired.
I could get behind a steampunk day. I could get behind a steampunk month, because steampunk is very cool. Though I haven't done much with random fun fact: I'm just going to share this little tidbit. I was in a wedding and their theme was steampunk. So I actually have like an outfit that I made kind of steampunky style to wear to this wedding because I was the best man. I have pics. I'll share pics later because I basically went with like masculine and feminine. Like I wore a vest because I can't do a corset, but I also wore a skirt, but I also wore a bow tie and a top hat. But it was a cute little mini headband top hat. Anyway, long story short. Yeah, we could definitely look into the job stuff, and Steampunk Day I could get behind. Alright, so next question, is voting going to be the same as it was before, or will it be set up differently? So Jin is working on voting at the moment, as we mentioned. I'm not actually sure entirely how it will work at the moment. We have discussed, if possible, adjusting like how many votes it takes to get a prize and things like of that nature, but we haven't have anything completely set in stone yet. If it can't be adjusted, then it will hopefully be what it similar or the same as what it was before. But if it can be adjusted, we may lower the limits a little bit. I don't think raising them's in the discussion. I don't think anybody was for raising how many voting times you have to do. But basically to be determined based on what we can actually adjust. I need to take a moment and drink because I am parched. I have been having problems with not properly hydrating this week. Okay. Question. This is a little bit of a long one, but I'm going to read the whole details out because it is kind of crucial to context. So, how do we prevent griefing between the overworld and the nether? I haven't been affected by it, at least yet, but say I have my place in the overworld and someone comes along in the nether and sets a place up and the portal comes out within 5 chunks of my claim or vice versa. I don't believe we can lands claim in the nether, but since people can build now in the nether and have it be protected from griefers, this just kind of popped into my head as I know someone this might be an issue for. So, we can't really prevent portals from showing up. However, if it does, either the person who accidentally created it or the person who owns the area in the overworld can ticket for it to be removed. Because of the fact that this nether portal thing is a limitation of the server and the map and not necessarily a person's fault, we aren't planning to punish people for something like this being a server issue, unless it's used repeatedly to harass or grieve someone. Accidents happen. Things can be out of your control, and we understand that. As long as you're not repeatedly abusing something, it's okay to just ticket when it happens, and, we can deal with it. And it can be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. If you have a situation where someone has set up a home in the nether and even doing the proper, coordinate lineup thing, keeps spawning portals in someone else's town, staff can possibly mediate a discussion. There's a few different things that we can do, but there's not really anything we can do to prevent it from happening at all entirely. We just would recommend being careful with where you're placing things, and if you come out in someone's town, maybe try to talk to them about it, see if there's some agreement that can be made of you maybe using the same nether portals, something like that. I don't know. There's lots of different ways to handle certain situations like this. I would basically, if you have a specific situation that happens to you, you can always come talk to disciplinary staff and we can figure out how to best proceed from there, especially if you're not sure. Oh, you can absolutely technically grieve yourself if you're forgetful enough. It's like, who didn't replant my farm? And then you're like, wait, it was me. But yeah. Certain disciplinary type of situations end up kind of a case-by-case basis. Generally that's true of like land claims, but also border disputes. Now the lands plugin technically prevents you from building too close to each other if you're using the plugin. It doesn't let you claim chunks close to another town, but not everyone uses that, so you can sometimes get people who don't realize they're close to a town border, especially for some lands who kind of claim a whole bunch of chunks, but then they like build from the center out, so they might not have anything visible for multiple chunks. So it can get very easy to accidentally place yourself too close, and it's always kind of a case-by-case basis. We usually can discuss it with the people involved, and generally it gets resolved with someone agreeing to move. Sometimes I've seen it be like, oh, this person didn't realize they were close to a town. Can I join your town? Sure, there you go. Problem solved. But yeah, a lot of situations revolving around land disputes tend to be kind of a case by case. So I can't give necessarily a specific, here's how we would handle it step by step, without an actual situation to deal with step by step. But generally you can just come talk to a staff member, ask, or try to work it out yourself too, if possible. So some people prefer to try that themselves first. Not saying you have to, but anyway. The next question is, how are outposts for lands going to be done? What's the price going to be like for that? So the management team has not fully discussed things like price. Sorry, someone broke the Notch channel while we were doing it. I got distracted. Okay, it's okay, it happens. So the outposts, which in the lands plugin are referred to as camps, we still don't have it completely worked out on how it's going to be done. And part of the reason for that is defaultly in the plugin, camps are temporary. We believe that there's a way to make them permanent, but it's still being worked on. So we also haven't fully worked out the price of them yet. I feel like more than likely we're going to probably stick to a similar vein of pricing as Townie had, but it again kind of depends on the limitations of the plugin itself. There's a possibility we could go cheaper. I don't feel like we would necessarily go more expensive, but the other thing with a outpost, or if we can do it, ideally it would be a one-time cost. But again, all of that kind of has to be worked out. I know we had said after the merge, a lot of other issues kind of kept cropping up, different bug issues and plugin issues and things like that. So camps kept kind of getting a little pushed back because other things like the entire lands plugin suddenly going crazy and charging everyone weird amounts kind of took precedence over that. It's still something we intend to do if possible, but it's just taking longer than we expected. Pure, simple fact of the matter. It's taking longer than we expected. Jin will probably advocate for more expensive. I will probably advocate for less expensive, and we'll probably meet somewhere in the middle of the price it already is. That's kind of how a lot of our discussions on price stuff goes. Although there have been a couple of times where I'm like, yeah, sure, make it more expensive. No, don't say plugins are perfect. Even as sarcasm, plugins suck. Sorry, I'm having a flashback to me trying to just get the eCraft. No. The harvest style items. Just trying to get those things to function, or the traders for harvest event to function. Having a moment. But yeah, unfortunately, we keep running into some limitations with plugins or bugs and issues, and some plugin developers are very responsive and very polite and willing to work, and they still have, it still takes time for them to put in certain fixes and things like that are their side and not our side. But there's also times where some of the plugin developers are either very unreachable or not necessarily responsive to issues, so sometimes they take a lot longer to get resolved. Sometimes there's issues on our side with plugins, but a lot of what holds things up is when we're waiting for a plugin to fix something. And that generally means there's nothing we can do on our end to fix things. We have to wait, which is what holds things up, unfortunately. So, moving on. Next question. Okay, why do I feel like this was Navy's? Sorry. Okay. Can we get a custom trader downtown near the ranged sellers that sells special crossbows or sell fireworks that are used with crossbows, perhaps a custom texture for the explosions of big fireworks so that it doesn't block other players' visions during fight? You should definitely make that a suggestion on our Reddit. I can't guarantee anything like that, but you should definitely make a suggestion. We can look into it. The other option is you could not use fireworks with a crossbow, but that's just me. See, upon hearing that, though, my first suggestion is just make them with, like, invisible explosions, but then I think it has to be, like, completely custom. I don't know. I don't know how it could be done. But if our lovely GM team can figure something out, then cool. I wouldn't be against it. We're not against anything that's actually just, like, small, useful, and fun. It's just, can we make it work? Well, actually, I shouldn't say we're not against anything, but, like, there's a lot of things that we're like, oh, that would be cool if we can do it. And that's the big question is, if we can do it. An example to that is some people have suggested a multi-use ceremonial kris for cutting heads off of, players. Not against it, but it was definitely a can we do it thing. We do listen to the suggestions, as I've mentioned multiple times. I read them. I might not read them the minute you put them up because we no longer have the bot in here that works with the Reddit to immediately post them and let me see them, but I do check fairly frequently. Okay. Next question. Just curious if wandering trader spawns can be increased. Takes months to find one. So, wandering traders are basically, it's the way that they spawn is they can spawn like random, as far as I understand it. They can spawn like randomly every so often in a certain I believe it's a certain distance away from like someone online, but because we are a multiplayer server, it's also the chance of it is like divided by how many people are actually on. So it can be easier sometimes to get one to spawn near you in a slower part of the day or a not as busy part of the day with people, but we understand, time zones are unfortunately a problem for some people. We can look into it, but they are supposed to be more on the rarer side. So I'm not going to guarantee anything, but we can look into it. Especially if, ideally, we would love to see, server traffic increase. So that would make chances even harder. So it could possibly be something that we can adjust. And yeah, there's also RNG. I have seen a couple on Netherite, but not actually around my home. It's always when I'm visiting someone else. But we can definitely look into it a little bit more and see what we can do. I won't promise results, but we can look into it for sure. We're not against looking into things. I know that hearing us say, oh, we'll look into it, sounds like we're just... We do. It just takes time to look into the different things. They're also harder to find at night when they go invisible. And if their llamas disconnect from them, then you could just have one wandering around that you never see. It was on Emerald, but I actually found one that fell into a hole near my farm. And I just kept hearing villager noises over and over again. I could not find him for the life of me. Until I found a trader llama just wandering around like an entirely different part of the town. I didn't even know. And then it like connected the dots. And I had to dig out like 3 different chunks around my farm to find him. Oh, yeah. Villagers are a little weird. Wandering traders are a little wacky. Okay. So, I'm trying to blaze through the questions. We got more still. So, the question says, thanks so much for adding more to crates. But also on another note, and totally fine if it's gonna be a while answer, because I'm just curious, when are we getting stairs and slate crabs? Crate. Wow. When are we getting stairs and slab crates? I can talk. And fences, too. We do have a big list of stuff we want to add in the near future. I personally have a list of like over 20 different blocks that include some slabs and crates. We would suggest, however, that you make a suggestion post on the Reddit or mention it to me. Specifically because I've been keeping a list. I can also tease that a certain someone sat down and made a whole crap ton of copper related crates in one evening. So those are coming in the near future. And for those who are curious, I will not read the entire list, but the list that I have includes ideas such as magma blocks, the like chiseled variants of some blocks that don't have them in there yet, carpet, amethyst, things like that. The tricky part with doing like slabs and stairs and stuff is like once we start to do one set, we kind of have to keep doing more. But not something we hate, just it's time consuming. And I also want to do things that another idea that I had was Totems of Undying, because we used to get them a lot with some of the bosses and they don't stack. I like to do things especially that don't stack, too. But now that everything that we actually had originally in the crates menu is back in there, now we can get started on doing some of the other stuff. There are a couple things that are currently not functional, but will be functional in our next update to it, which were added before the crates were ready, like trap chests and the stripped logs and wood types. Those have already been dealt with too. They just They got added before the actual crates were created. But yeah, more crates definitely coming soon-ish, TM, but we have lots of ideas for things. So if you have a specific block or some specific blocks you'd like to see, please feel free to make a suggestion on the Reddit. Okay, this is another slightly long one. Question: is there any way to become staff? Become is in air quotes. And help out in terms of minor things. Like, if you don't have the skill set of a GM to do all of that stuff, don't want to be MIT or mod, aren't good with building or art, aren't necessarily good with words, and maybe not fitting for QA, or there's not spaces on the team at the moment. I would love to be able to help out with small things on the tech side. I paraphrased some of that, by the way. Maybe a role of like helper, but not the same as old helper. Just kind of all around helping out to get things done. Sorry, I shortened that a little bit, but... So all community members can be like quote-unquote helpers by just discussing stuff with the staff team, being active on the server, attending meetings, making suggestion posts, and, you know, generally just being nice and friendly and lovely members of our community. You can, of course, always apply for staff positions, even if you don't necessarily have the full skills required, or if you think that you're not necessarily going to get it, like if you're a little bit of like self-doubt, like you don't think you're going to get it, you could still have a chance. We do look for people who are capable and willing to learn things as well as already having the skills. The example of me learning some of the dev stuff, and I learned how to be an admin by essentially being the helper, the elite, the mod. Like, I worked my way up, I learned different skills, and I learned how to help focus people, manage different things, and a lot of that's still a learning experience even now. I have always been a talkative person, so talking and running things is not necessarily a hard job for me, but not everyone has those skills, and you can learn them. There are a lot of things that you can teach people and learn. You can't teach someone necessarily how to be a good person, but if you have, you know, things like that, sometimes being nice isn't really something you can teach, but skills on how to like do something in a text document, or even how to phrase certain things, those things can be taught. So if you have an interest in a staff role or for helping, you can still apply, and we can always go from there too. That said, if you want to volunteer to help with certain things, you don't necessarily have to have a staff role to do that either. See, Burb is the admin teacher. She taught me and Erica. But I have also been a good teacher of a lot of our mods. I've taught. So a couple people that became an admin, I taught Burb, then she taught me. So... but yeah, there are different things that you could do to volunteer and to help. Even things like reporting bugs or reporting issues that you find right away is helpful. So I don't want people to think you have to have a staff role to help. We used to have a lot of people who would run like community events and things like that, where the staff would help support them a little bit, but they still ran them. Similar to, I think the most recent example I can think of is Kane's like Under the Tree thing. That was a community event that you guys ran. If you needed some staff assistance, we could have helped with that. Or like before we closed the servers, Jordy wanted to celebrate Emerald's last birthday. Staff basically set up a warp for that. You know, just a little thing. We can support people. We are definitely down to help support more community events. If people have ideas for things, even as simple as you want to play some hide and seek downtown, I would love to start doing some more of them. I may randomly be like, hey, everybody who wants to play hide and seek, and I'll stream it so that you guys can know I'm not cheating with staff powers. You know, things like that. Like, you can do lots of different things to help. Even people who, let's say you are good at making textures. You have different skills in different areas. Maybe you have ideas for items, you can make suggestions, but if you have, like, skills in making textures, but you don't necessarily want to be a staff, but you have like a cool one you want to donate to us, message us. More specifically for textures would probably be Jin, but you can definitely still donate a texture, you know, if you have an idea for something and you make something cool, but you don't necessarily put out a lot of stuff for like to be an artist rank, you know, that's fine. We've had that happen over the years. I know there's at least a couple of people who've like donated a texture to the server that we've used. I personally, if you make a really cool texture and we end up using it, you could potentially earn yourself a collectible version of said item. Not promising anything for sure, but like, yeah, you know, there are a lot of ways you can help out without having to be a staff member. So if you aren't sure where to start, ask. I can't give like specific details without like a specific person wanting to know how they can use the skills they do have to help. But if you have an idea, let us know. Make suggestions, help out other people on the server, you know. Lots of things that you can do. You do not have to write every word I just babbled. Sorry, my family came home. Okay. Just to tell someone in I think that's Pants in the stream chat, Pants, stone bricks are already in the crates now that the updates have been made. Smooth stone is not, but stone brick is. At least I don't think smooth stone is. Okay, see, if everybody's posting memes somewhere, like, I am in fact distracted. I have like 4 things open. At least, like, four things I'm trying to actively watch open, let alone everything else. So, next question. What are the chances of the anniversary box being done for May? Like I post... Oh, never mind. Someone posted a suggestion to Reddit about it. I know it was mentioned, probably not likely, as not many people submitted art for cards, and majority of submissions were from staff, but since more people are playing now and coming back, maybe gauge to see if there's community interest and have a backup idea and name if there's not. I just thought it would be a really cool thing being Zombie's birthday month and also box 100. Yeah. So, like mentioned in the question, the last time we did do a card contest was for the Zombie Memorial set. We, quite honestly, we barely had any submissions. Most were from staff members. We ended up with a normal card set is 15 cards and then foil versions. In the past, the like anniversary sets have been 15 cards and then they get like a little trophy symbol on them for the foil versions. And then we've had the like community submission like extra box sometimes. This last time we intended to hopefully have at least 30 cards to pick from, and we were going to put 30 in the full set. Possibly. We got 11 submissions and 2 of them were mine. Like 11 submissions total. That's actually why the mural picture ended up happening, which in retrospect, like looking back, like I love that picture. It looks great. But it was a little bit difficult to deal with. And I'm not saying that there aren't more people around that might want to do that, but at the moment, we do currently honestly still have a somewhat similar sized active player base to what we had last May when we did the card contest. And though a lot of people had asked for a card contest, like I personally was asked by quite a few people actually if maybe they could, maybe a card contest for May, because we usually did the anniversary set in like April or May. And then not as many people even that asked for it wanted to actually submit something. And I know making art is hard. That's actually why I had done that little stream of like how to do a card, how to make a card so that people could see. It was pretty simple. You just have to have an idea. And I realize with everyone, the subject matter was not easy for anyone. I understand that. Like I'm not here trying to be like, oh, people didn't submit cards. They didn't, care enough. Like that's not at all what I am saying. The subject matter was absolutely terribly difficult for a lot of people. So I'm not upset that some people just didn't make a card or submit it. I don't know if at this point in time with the player base activity that we currently have, if it would be a good idea. We do have some ideas for what we can do for the box. Card wise, we aren't saying that we won't do another card contest again, but I think for the actual 100th box, it's probably not what we're going to do. We do have some plans. We do want to kind of do something memorializing again for Zombie. I don't want to go into everything that we have planned because I don't want to spoil it necessarily, but we do already have a plan for that box in particular. And at this point in time, just so everyone knows, it is very, very likely that we will also do the charity donation thing again. We have discussed that, and we would like to try to do that repeatedly, because I think he would have loved that, honestly. But yeah, it's going to be the 100th box, and we do have some special ideas for it. I would like to do another card contest at some point. We could also, if we want to do another one, we could also do it not for a specific Vox box, but do a card contest, and then we could put the cards in-game through a different means, too. If we were concerned about the submissions, or to just gauge how many people might submit, too. But we could do something like that, and I think that had been done before. I want to say that had happened before in October, or maybe I'm thinking of the Halloween contest. I don't remember. In other words, we're not against doing more contests. The 100th Vox box probably won't be one, though. I remember thinking we had a lot of boxes when we got to 30. So yeah, we're old. Okay, we have 2 more questions in the pre-submitted questions, and then we can probably open the channel now while I go over these little last 2. Question. Out of curiosity, what month and year was the server created that anyone could access? So, as best as we know, early 2012. The I believe Burb or Erica tried to do some research on this. The original Vox Populi trailer was posted in March of 2012, so probably around there. Technically, a lot of people, it kind of depends on where you agree that it started. Like the actual Vox Populi open to everyone. Some people see it as when Markiplier was playing, and some people see it as when it actually opened. So it's kind of an opinion-based question. But I believe there was a server before Diamond actually became a thing, but I think that was Diamond's start date, if I remember correctly, was 2012 or something like that. Yes, the meeting questions channel is now open while I go over these last two questions that were pre-submitted. Okay, so the last question. How is staff doing? I know some had things going on. I hope everyone is decompressing well. Sometimes it's better to just set things to the side and take a break. I love you all and appreciate all you do, and I wish I could do more to help. So thank you for the sentiment. As always, we do appreciate that people care, and I'm actually really grateful that people care. A lot of the staff team has been very busy with a lot of IRL things lately that have come up, as we kind of discussed before. But we do try our best, as always, to keep Vox going. We try our best not to stress and tell each other to take breaks. Gonna take just a moment. I had a death in my family the end of last week, and this is pretty much all I've done since was prepare for the meeting, because I was like, I can do the meeting. I will be unavailable tomorrow if anyone needs anything. Ask someone else. But I pretty much was... I wasn't trying to do stuff, but it's like you guys already were ready to yell at me. Like, I know Amy and Burb and Erica would yell at me if I tried to do something I couldn't handle. So we do also look out for each other, but I'm glad that you guys also care about us, because it gets me a little teary, but it's like, it's really sweet that you guys also still care. Like, I just straight up love that personally. But yeah, generally, the last like month or two for everyone has been kind of not the easiest. Lots of people had some illness or life stuff going on, family stuff, but we all have communicated, taken the breaks that we've needed to do, so. You know, a 5-minute break sounds really good, because I have to go to the bathroom. And I should probably get some more water. So we will be taking a 5-minute break. I do not have... Do I not have a... I don't have a break. I don't have a break screen. I should have a break screen on my streaming stuff. I'll make one later. But yeah, 5-minute break. Yep. 5-minute break. I'll be right back. Okay. I've returned. We'll give it a couple minutes, though, because I don't know if everyone else is back. But I have returned. Got more water, so I'm hydrated. Food, Curly. I would suggest food. Eating food is good. I don't know. I have when we're done with the meeting, I have a calzone waiting for me. So. Also, to that end, I am going to cut it off at some point because I'm tired and hungry. But I want to get to at least some questions. So if you have a question, I would ask it in the meeting questions channel. Like, when you think of it, when you have it, just ask it. I know there's the slow down, like, slow mode, but just ask the question. Don't, like, wait, I'll wait till a little later, because I'm gonna cut it off at some point. So, as soon as Esther, Erica, and Burb confirm that they're here, I will probably continue. I looked at the clock before I walked away, so I know it's been 5 minutes. Yes. Okay. I mean, I don't technically need everyone to be back. I just didn't want to, like, start when no one was here. You know. For anybody watching on stream, I'm going to show off my cup that has soda in it is Pokemon themed. In case anyone didn't already need to know, I was a huge nerd. I can't see you or the TNT you're supposedly placing around me, Esther. Oh, it's Ray. Ew, it's Ray. Ray's here. I almost wonder if I should tell you guys where I'm sitting, but no one will know exactly where I'm sitting. Alright, yeah. So, let's move on. Well, I'll tell you guys this. I'm on our test server, so you can't find where I am yet. But it will be someplace you have to find. That's as spoiler as I can do. And no, it doesn't have to be broken into. No, I meant in-game. IRL, I'm sitting in my dining room. Like, this wall right here, this is actually, where the vent for my air, my central air goes through. So, the general state of existence I'm in is depression. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so So, question. What are Vox's priorities right now? Just to get a sense of what's important. So our absolute main priority right now is keeping Vox going, trying to make the community happy, as well as safe. We have tried to focus on some smaller features for the moment, like quality of life changes, like adding back crates, fixing bugs, balancing the current systems, and working on reintroducing things like the voting and daily bonus that we mentioned should be soonish, while we work on the major content more on the back end. So that would be, the major content includes like the RPG related elements, which would be the adventure world, dungeons, bosses, classes, events, all of that. Yeah, that is all, all that stuff takes a lot of time. So, yeah, I know people think like a priority is like one different thing, but for us, it's basically keeping Vox going while introducing and reintroducing things that you guys can do and be happy with. Stuff that you can have and work on. I apologize to the stream for my mother walking behind me. That's my mother. She says hi. But yeah, the main priority is always going to be keeping Vox fun and friendly and having things to do. We know that with a lot of the RPG elements being worked on, there is less for people to be interested in, which is also why if you have suggestions for smaller things, quality of life types of things that you would like to see either added back, or if it's something new, don't hesitate to suggest it to the Reddit. We're definitely open to it. If you suggest things that are like determined by like classes, races, spells, those fall under RPG, so that will not technically qualify, but you can still make suggestions for those things as well. It's just probably going to be like longer than something we could implement more quickly, like trying to get voting fixed, etc. So toys, Voxbox suggestions, emotes, titles, things like that, those are also welcome too. If you suggest an emote and you have text that you would like to see be used for it, I will not promise we will absolutely use your text, but if you have a full suggestion like that, make the full suggestion. There is, as long as it's not inappropriate, there's a good chance that your suggestion will be used in full if we take that suggestion for the emote. I'm mentioning that because there have been a couple of emotes that I've made that some people are like, oh, I wish it had been phrased like this, but if you don't give me the suggestion, then, well, I can't really make up the text that you had in your head if you don't share it. But yeah, so things like that, always good. So, the next question. Web map, maybe? So, the issues with the web map are due to lag. As a number of you know. Why am I getting pinged? Oh, hugs. Thank you. Thank you for the hug. Sorry. My brain went ping. I was like, what's going on? What's an emergency? Okay, thank you for the hug. So yeah, for the web map question. As many of you know, a lot of different things lagged horribly, hence why we have certain current protections, like some of the blocks despawning faster, and like how redstone stops if TPS goes super low, things like that. The web map that we wanted to use caused a lot of lag issues, especially with multiple people using it at the same time. We still would like to release web map when we can deal with some of the lag issues. which we are working on. That to me is going to probably fall under those things. So when we do more edits for lag related features, once we have things a little bit figured out more stably, we can look into actually bringing out the web map that we said we would. Lag is a problem. Lag is annoying. Everyone knows lag is a problem. I'm going to say to the people who are hanging around me while I'm streaming, if you start using too many or too loud VoxBox toys, I will yell at you, or I will ask you to stop. But if you start using the screaming goat stares, I will ban you from the test server till I'm done. I have that power. Don't make me use it. I need to be able to hear myself talk. Okay. Question. Can we add stone to import? There's cobble, but having the option to not smelt a bunch would be nice. So the answer to this is maybe. We're still planning for an eventual export rework, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. We are planning to do an export rework, and I feel like that could include import as well, since they're related. Absolutely, please mention any additions you'd love to see to export, import to the Reddit. To make suggestions, please give us details. What you guys want to see, what you guys think needs to be adjusted. What if you want to mention for the 1000th time that quartz crates should be added to import, make a suggestion for me so then we have a physical record and we won't forget. Although at this point I don't think I'll forget about quartz, but I am very invested in working on a rework for that at some point. It's just there are some things that are taking a little bit more important priority-wise for me personally, which is like cards, which also got delayed by personal issues. Sorry. But yeah, we would love to hear some more suggestions for that. I don't see a reason why we can't add stone. We just have to actually figure that out and deal with the pricing. And since I want to rework like the pricing for like most of them, we also probably won't do it till we do that. But I would love to see that as a suggestion. There was something else I was going to mention, and now it has gone completely out of my head. Oh, right. If your suggestion includes things that we allow passive farming of, like eggs or cactus, it probably won't be added, just to clarify. Because if we add them, then we have to disallow the passive collection farms. Just as a note. Because, like, with, like, cactus and signs and hoppers, things like that are allowed. Eggs, you're allowed to just, like, put hoppers under a bunch of chickens and passively collect eggs. But that's also why they aren't in export. Or not directly. There is the possibility that maybe we could do something with, like, a larger amount of crates of those things, since crates exist, but that's still, like, to be determined. At one point, I had a full chest full of crates of eggs, so yeah, that would be way too much. And I didn't even do that much egg farming, so yeah. And yeah, basically things that get adjusted with export may also affect the kinds of like passive farms that we allow too. So we have to take that into consideration as well. So. Does anyone else have questions? Because the meeting questions channel is open. Okay, I'm just gonna say, Pants, I know you said that in the stream chat, but that's a neat suggestion to see if we can do something with emotes in global as opposed to just local. I'm not sure if that would be doable, but like that would be interesting. But then I feel like chat would just be emotes. Yeah, it's a smaller meeting today. It's okay. So I know my team is probably still writing this one down. But I can absolutely answer your question about the crates, the Vox boxes. So that's Esther. Pants. For those watching the stream, the one with the flower on her head is Esther. I don't know why she doesn't have a name here, but our test server is a little funny. You guys know how the tab menu is on and off? Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's broken on and off. Yeah, same problem exists on our test server, and it creates weirdness, like 2 people having a name and 1 person not. Yeah. I feel like people would use, if we did try to make them global, people would use them like a lot all at once for a while, but I feel like it would calm down after that, but still. It's a neat suggestion. I'm just not sure if we can do it. Okay, so question. Would staff consider adding the 2014 to 2021 Vox boxes back to the eStore? Details with the fishing line socket gone that helped getting the old crates, it's hard to come by. So the real short answer is we can definitely look into ways to getting old Vox boxes and item crates. We've considered classic Vox boxes, like fully doing classic Vox boxes, not just the ones that are currently up on the eStore from this past year. We may add them at a later time, but the kind of caveat to all of this, like we would love to be able to offer them maybe crates in-game as well as possibly on the eStore for some sort of purchase in some degree. But the real caveat here is that first we have to finish the fix for cards. I do not at all want to like introduce crates and eStore stuff especially, but like I don't really want to introduce these crates again only for you to basically have, when you pull things out of them, they're completely broken. I just think that is not a good thing for us to do on our part. I want you guys to be able to, crates are active again, now we can get cards again, but I want the cards to work. I can't guarantee all the toys will work from the old things, because fixing the toys is kind of like when we find them that aren't working, we can fix some of them, but some of them might be needing recreation in newer systems, etc. But like the cards are like, frankly, kind of like, for the most part, the number one thing you're going to get from those boxes most of the time. So like I definitely want those to be functioning first. Plus, it also makes less for us to replace later if we don't let you open like 100 crates of cards, and you get 100-ish cards that then have to be replaced again. It's just kind of like a vicious cycle there. However, some ideas, we've floated out different ideas of how to do it. So if you have ideas for how you would like to see like the classic Vox boxes like return in whatever capacity on the store, in game, etc., please don't hesitate, again, to make a suggestion. An idea that I have had, though nothing is settled. This is an idea that I have had and I have shared, and we haven't made any determination on. This is just me sharing an idea with you guys. An idea that I had was that the store ones could just sell a certain amount of crates for a reasonable price, because we don't want to instead of doing the full Vox box itself, which becomes a little bit of a problem because the old ones didn't come in shulkers, so you can't really do it in an entire full inventory. It won't work with the older boxes. So the easiest way to do it, instead of having to recreate all of the past Vox boxes in the newer system that we've been doing with like the shulkers, it'd be easier to just sell some crates that you could open. You know what I mean? If we're gonna sell them on the store. But that would probably still that would obviously have to be cheaper than an actual Vox box, because we're not going to charge you $30 for like a couple of crates for which you may not get everything in the box. We're not that crazy. So that's like my idea for like the store portion of it. But I also personally want us to introduce new ways in-game to get older packages, so you can have older stuff, or you can find older things, whether that be a vendor or wandering trader loot or Karn maybe, but we could also have multiple sources. We don't just have to have only one in-game way to get things either. So there's multiple ways that we could do this, and I am looking forward to your guys sharing any suggestions you have on it too. So, why am I no longer sitting? You guys just messing around with me. See, this is why I shouldn't have told you guys where I was. Okay. So that's question. Basically, lots of different ways to look into doing them, but we want to make sure cards are functioning again first. So, the next question is, do we have any updates on the auction or market plugins? I know it's a case of searching for plugins, just wondering if any updates we could share. So, we do currently have a market plugin. I know it's a little problematic at times. It works for the time being. If we find something better, we may replace it. As for if it's meaning more things like quick shops, we did discuss that earlier, and we are trying to work out something that would be similar to a degree, but it's still being planned out. So as for auction in itself, we can definitely look into finding a replacement. It's been, I think, somewhat low priority, but I know people liked doing auctions that actually, but it more than likely won't be the exact same, because as the usual problem is, lots of Vox's plugins were custom, unfortunately. So yeah, we have to kind of look around to see what things will do what we want them to. And for things like market and auction, we also need to make sure they work with the plugins we already have that manage money. That's another tricky part, is we have to make sure that they also cooperate with the money systems that we already have in place. Otherwise, then you're getting into like, oh, you need to put your money into like this other thing to use auction, and then you have to withdraw from it. Like it technically doable, be a hassle though. So we just need to find things that work with the plugins we already have to make it like the smoothest for everyone involved. So yeah. Give me a second, I'm looking at something. Okay, Volk, I'm just going to answer that because it's super quick. So, there are skulk sensors that exist on Vox, even though we're not on 1.19, because they generated in the custom Terralith biomes that we have. So, we don't have ancient cities, and the skulk sensors don't really, like, do anything. But they exist because of a custom biome block, basically. Also, sorry for the server going down on people. It was a restart that went terribly. I know you asked in general chat, but you were here, so I just answered it. It was faster than typing it. Why am I... Does anybody have any other questions for the meeting? Aw, you guys are calling me great. You guys are making me feel good. It's not usually 4 hours. The last few that we've had have just fell over the period of like merge, and people had lots of questions about that kind of stuff. Also, we had 25 pre-submitted questions. It's just some of them overlapped and had the same kind of some of them asked the same sort of question. Look, this is more entertaining than 4 hours I have to spend tomorrow doing stuff, so...
I think the pre-submitted questions covered people are curious about.
Yeah, especially, I think
we also have a smaller attendance today.
I mean, we have I would say we still have a decent-sized group. Thank you guys all for being here, too. But yeah, the last couple we've had, like, 30-ish plus, because lots of people have had a lot of questions, so... I am just waiting for something. Okay. People can leave. If nobody else has any questions, sorry, I'm like not in camera. Obviously, people can ask questions if you think of it later. You can message a staff member. Generally, development type of questions would want to go to development team, and disciplinary, obviously, to disciplinary staff. But if you're not sure who to direct a question to, you can message pretty much any staff member, and they should know who to best direct your question to, or they can ask if they're not sure. Okay, Volk, to your question, should I dig? Yes. Go dig. But, remember guys, let's not clog up the meeting questions with joke questions. Although, yeah, we're basically done, I think, at this point. Well, yeah, if you have a question and you want to ask, you can, but if it's pretty much just asking ourselves the question, you could always just, ask the staff. Not necessarily in the meeting.
Should I close the question channel?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay.
So, we're gonna start with our little wrap up. Thank you guys, first of all, for coming. Sorry. Was looking at Poe. So thank you guys for coming. There is one more little thing to note. There is the possibility this week sometime that there may be a few hours of downtime while we do some updates to things, just so that you guys know. We will do an actual like announcement in like the Discord when we're doing it. But we don't have like an exact time or day because it kind of depends on people's schedules. And it was originally supposed to be this weekend, and schedules did not cooperate with people. So, but it'll be more than likely down for not just like a few minutes, but a few hours while we work on a few things. But like I said, we will do our best to give you guys a heads up when it's happening or when we know exactly when we're doing it. So yeah, just wanted to... I keep doing like thumbs up, and then I realize they're not even in frame because my camera is like smaller because I don't want people just staring at my face the whole time. So yeah, just a heads up. Remember to post any suggestions and ideas you have to the Reddit. Erica has put links in the voice text, but I do believe our YouTube profile page has the links as well, and if they don't, I'll add them. Remember, suggestions for there. The meeting notes should be posted soonish, hopefully within the next day or two after the meeting. The VOD of this should be available as soon as YouTube does its like processing stuff, and that'll be available just straight up on the YouTube channel now, so I don't have to deal with downloading and uploading. If you have any interest in applying for a Vox staff position, please use the template found either on the Reddit or on the Discord, as we do now have a section for that on the Discord. Particular teams that could use a hand at the moment, in general, would be GM. If you have any skills at all with plugins or want to, or have messed around at all with any plugins, feel free. CMs probably could use a hand or two. Architects, always looking for good creative builders. But generally, if you're interested in any staff position, you can apply. For the one or ones that match your interest. You can apply for more than one position at the same time, but you will only be brought on for one position at a time. If you want to help Vox out monetarily wise, we do have our e-store where you can purchase yourself some nice cosmetics and things like that, emotes and stuff. If you have ideas for anything that you're interested in seeing on our store too, please don't hesitate to make a suggestion about those. Our YouTube channel, if you're listening, is where we've streamed this, and generally if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to check with a staff member. And thank you guys for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Bye! And for those who are still here in this stream, have a wonderful evening yourselves. That was a lovely sound to end on.